Oh, gosh. Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Johnny Davis Alive. And that's exactly what it's going to be. This is going to be like a reality show, right? We're going to be talking about Father's Day today, guys, and my role as a father with my kids, all three of my kids here, and they're with me here today. Of course, at the last minute, I had my Johna jump in, I had to get her, and then I have my eldest, Lakeisha, there in the lobby, and my son was out there with some Wi-Fi that didn't work, so he's getting to a Wi-Fi location. So this is the Johnny Davis Live reality show. For sure. I want to thank everybody for joining us today here on Johnny Davis Live. Thanks always to our sponsors of Blackout Fights at blackoutfights.com and Eastern Offset Printing for all they do for us. I was thinking about Father's Day and the fact that how fortunate I was to have, three kids, and there's levels, there's different stories to all of this. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story and how all of this kind of came together and, the different relationships that I have with my kids. And the hope is that maybe some fathers out there will be able to see this and maybe take a look at maybe what kind of father they are, or maybe some things to change. Because, hey, I'm certainly not perfect by a long shot. And they might even say that, but we're going to have a good time in doing so. Well, those are my kids there on the screen, right there. The kid guy there who is refereeing the fight. He is like dad in that sense. He's in the martial arts, been training for 100 years. And that's my son, Richardson Davis. Right. And then my eldest, that you will hear me refer to her a lot, is my daughter, Lakeisha Dunson. And she's originally was from Dillon, now lives out of Columbia, South Carolina, a businesswoman and doing very well. The youngest there, that was the first picture I could pull up quickly, is my daughter, Johna Hope Davis. She's 16 years old with our little puppy at the time. Oh, that's lucky. All right. So we're going to be talking all of them in just a little bit and just kind of seeing about their perspective of fatherhood and some of the things perhaps, they've gone through with me as their dad. We got to get dads some props, right? Because, dads really work hard. They try really hard out there and trying to do their thing and everything. As you can see right there to my side, my daughter, my mini me, Johna Hope Davis, and we'll bring her, back into the picture just a little bit. I want to just quickly tell you a little bit of a story, if I could, about me, and I'll just keep it brief, kind of about my childhood and how I was brought up. Okay. So the reality is that I believe, and why I asked the other people as well about their dads, was because I think it plays a role in what kind of father you might be. Now you can, and Fernando Calero's thing, he found out he's probably more like his dad and being good and taking care of the family and stuff like that. For me, my real dad was not in my life. Okay, and that's just the reality. It is what it is. So like Mr. Kelvin Bass's situation, my dad was not there either. So let me tell you a little story. So when I was coming up as a little kid, everybody else had a dad in my whole family. It was my 4 kids, 4 brothers, and 3 sisters, right? And then it was me, right? I was kind of right in the middle, just the way it was in the family. I didn't know who my dad was until I was 15 years old, right? And because simply mom just didn't tell me, and she just didn't want me running up to him and stuff like that and saying whatever I would say. So my brother accidentally found out, right? And then he told me. So I did find out at 15 years old, and I'll preserve who he is right now. You can easily find out he was well known in the area. So that instilled something in me that made me a different kind of child. It instilled something in my mom, and Keisha might can relate to this, that my mom overcompensated for me, no doubt about it. All the other kids had their dad that they could go to. I had no one. So when I needed something, my mom would bend over backwards to make sure that I got it, right? She would, if I needed shoes, if I needed clothes or whatever. And in fact, that is how I got in karate class, because my mom, we couldn't afford no karate class, all right? So my mom, got me into karate class. Mr. Carnell Povis, who probably tells stories about, how my mom, brought potato pies to him and stuff like that, to keep me going into class. Probably some truth to that for sure. And all, but I loved it, and she did everything she could to keep me in there. There was also the Boy Scouts. They were always going places, doing things, and ironically, I was in the Boy Scouts with my half brother, and the dad still didn't claim me. Another story. But you know what? I was still striving. There was something in me that made me strive harder, right? Because I'll be honest, I wanted to prove to the world, not only the world, my mom, and yeah, probably him too, that what you gave up was something good, something of value. Somebody who was going to go out there and work their butt off to be good, to be respectful, and to be a respectable man, somebody who had discipline, somebody who could do things, could be the very best that he could be. And I've been there. And a lot of that somewhere in the back of my head was probably stemming from the fact that my dad just did not show me love, just ignored me like I was not in the world. It was later on in life, after I became a world champion, that I got some acknowledgement from my dad, and also those things, and it's not to put him down. It is what it is. I'm not tripping. I'm fine. My mom did great by me. There was other people in my life, father figures, that also were a big part of my life, like my stepdad, Mr. Noli Johnson, rest in peace, right? Who was there for me. He was a provider, but he made it clear, I'm not your dad, right? I love your mom. I have other kids in this family, but I'm not your dad. He made that clear respectfully. I respected that. But the bottom line is, this is the kind of things some kids have to deal with. You can either give up and say, oh, well, they don't love me or whatever, or you can do the opposite of that and work hard, study hard, and be your very best. And that is what I decided to do. So I appreciate him. Then I had yet another outside father figure in Mr. Scott McMillan, who was a big part of my life since the time I was like 14 or 15 years old, even today, right? Someone who I respect and I talk to all the time. And he literally has been like a father figure to me. And I certainly appreciate it. And by the way, since we've been talking about race and all that lately, he is not African American, right? He is a European white gentleman, but he has been like a father figure to me for many, many years. So I wanted to preface that about how I was raised and the kind of father figures that I had in my life, and maybe even the concept that I had about women. Through my neighborhood, in my community, we didn't respect women the way maybe we should have. When we saw them as objects. It's just a fact. We would try to get with as many as we could. We would just run. We would just do whatever we need to do, and the respect was not there. Okay, guilty. Okay, guilty. That's what I saw around me. I didn't have a lot of examples, very good examples, to show me anything different. So as I got older, I tried to change this narrative about who I was, and so that I could become more respectful to women and try to treat them right, and then treat my children better, as well as, women in general, right? So that is something, again, lessons that I learned early on that were important to me, that helped me become the man that I feel like I am today. Again, not perfect. In the process of me not respecting women, right, was where my first guest comes in. And my first guest is the one who I call my eldest. She is Lakeisha Dunson. She has a business over in Columbia, South Carolina. She is a great kid. There she is, ladies and gentlemen, looking like your daddy.
Here I am. Hey,
Hey, Keisha, how are you?
your eldest,
My
Johna,
eldest,
the
for
eldest.
sure. So as she's up on the screen, I want to just tell a quick little story. So as I said, I was a dog. I was out there running, perhaps not being the real man and doing the things I supposed to do. All right. And in the process of that, we got Keisha in that process. I wasn't seeing the mom or anything like that, but I was doing the deeds. Let's call it what it is. There's a lot of men out there who are doing exactly the same thing I'm doing. At first, there was a part of me that did not want to accept those deeds. They did not want to accept the fact that here was a child being brought in the world that I helped bring into the world, right? And I'll be very honest. My mama, my mama told me, boy, you've been out there. And really, to be honest, Later on, I wasn't during the time of the pregnancies when I met my wife now, right? And she also encouraged, listen, okay, now hold on now. Now, Helen said, if you did da 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 da, you got a child, you got to support the child, you got to go up there. So we had
Right.
Helen Keisha, who actually went to the hospital when you were a little baby. And they said, oh, that was that. Right? And I remember right as soon as we left the hospital, we went and bought all of this stuff. I mean, you had so much stuff, it wasn't even funny. And I
Mhm.
knew that from that point going
Yeah.
forward, that I was in it for a lifetime, right?
Mhm.
And I would like to think that, I tried to do my best in providing things from you from a distance, because again, we were not in a relationship. But I knew that I need to stay into your life. There was a little bit of child support involved with that too, keeping the talk real. But I actually took it out on myself, right? And then
Right.
I would buy, for you, buy your clothes, give money all the time, and all of that. I did that throughout her entire life, right? From day one, bought her school clothes. She had credit cards. She has even when we moved away, thousands and thousands of miles, 3,000 miles in California, I still made sure I did what I needed to do. I provided money. She had accounts. She had credit cards. We bought her a car. We did everything to try
Yeah.
to make sure that she was loved and appreciated. And today, she has come out great. And I'm so proud of you, because it just shows that the hard work that myself,
Yes.
and your grandmoms and all them that put into this thing was not in vain. But let's go to you for a second and
Ah.
tell us a little bit about what was your experience as far as you can understand it when you were small about your dad.
Oh man, when I was small, all I knew was my dad. I knew he was there for me. Like even you were there for me, even though you were in California, you were just a phone call away.
Right,
Whenever you guys did come in town, you come straight to get me, and I'm with you the whole time you're there. I know that you took care of me for
right,
sure. I always knew that. So I always knew you was a great father.
right,
Nothing
right.
less.
How did that the fact that I wasn't directly in your life at the time and other kids would be there with their fathers, does that make you feel some type of way?
No, not really. It didn't really make me feel any type of way because, like I said, you were just a phone call away. I remember some nights I would call you at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and in Dillon, the whole time zone was totally different because
Right,
I wanted to talk to you.
right,
So and even as Johna, I am the eldest, so
right,
I play with my little sister about being the eldest.
right, right.
I am the oldest
You're the
child.
number one, right?
So I always consider myself, and I tell a lot of people, like Jonna might consider herself as a daddy's girl, but I really believe that I am a daddy's girl. Like even from when I was little, So
Right,
I don't think it affected me really, honestly, because
right,
I know the support that was given.
right, right, right. Well, what
Yeah.
about how you see men today when you were coming up? Did you see men perhaps a little differently because of your dad was not with your mom?
No.
You don't think that had any role or
No,
anything?
because I saw you and Helen. So
Ah,
I saw y'all's relationship. So,
well,
I
tell
didn't
us.
I didn't
There
I
was
didn't
a
really
time.
miss
That's
any I
interesting.
don't think I missed anything.
That's interesting that you said that because there was like a year that you came up to visit us, right? In
Mhm.
California, you stayed with us for a year.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about what did you see in that relationship that perhaps maybe gave you even more stability because you were mostly with your grandmom,
Yeah, my
right?
grandma, my granddaddy.
Right. So what did you see
Yeah.
in our relationship in California that maybe gave you a little hope for relationships?
Well, even before y'all moved to California,
Mm.
I was still around you guys. Like Helen has been in my life from day one that I remember. So even when y'all were staying in, I think it was Ladder, I can
Yeah, yeah.
remember the time. Yeah, I can remember the times being there. The times you would do my hair, take my
Right.
ponytails out, try to do me some braids. I remember all
What
of
do you
that.
mean try? Wait, hold on. What do you mean try? You know I could do some
Ah!
hair.
Yeah, you would take my hair loose and stuff and try to. So I remember all of that. And even when I see guys on Facebook today doing that to their kids, I'm like, oh, my dad used to do that, to my hair. But just seeing y'all's relationship, because I think my first time going to California, I want to say 6. I was something like that, flying out there,
Right, yeah. You
going
made
out there.
several trips out there.
Yeah,
Yes.
several trips back and forth, and so living there, I was able to, really, really see the relationship, and see how a man supposed to treat a woman, and how a woman's supposed to treat a man.
Was
You
I doing
know,
okay?
you did good, yeah. Because even with the way you clean the kitchen after dinner every night, now my fiance, I'm like, you need to clean the kitchen because my
Right,
daddy cleaned the kitchen every night.
right.
He still don't get that yet, but yeah. So just seeing, I mean, giving the hugs and the kisses and the I love yous, and the good night hugs, and when you go get out the car to go to school, hugs, kisses. When I have instilled that into my son. So it was great experiment. Although I was super homesick,
Right, right,
I learned a
right.
whole lot.
When you say you were homesick, you mean you were homesick in while you were in California, you were homesick for Dylan?
Yeah, I was homesick.
Right.
Yeah, I was.
And you know that I fought tooth and nail for you not to go back.
I know.
You do know
Yeah, I
that I said that if you go back, what was going to happen.
yeah.
And and that was like not get pregnant, right?
Right.
And while you were graduating, right, you got pregnant, and I was really mad about it as a man.
I know.
Really, to be honest, I was mad, disappointed, and all those other things. But
Yeah.
on the flip side of that, it happened. It
Yeah.
is what it is, John. Don't let that happen to you. Anyway, my point is, but it happened, right? And
Yeah.
and as a result, you have a great grandson. You have a wonderful son there today. But speaking of your son,
Yes.
his dad is not all in his life
Right.
as he should be. What are your feelings about what you would say to your dad and what he might be missing without using any profanity, and what he's missing out on in the type of kid that Sean is?
Honey, I can be classy, bougie, and ratchet. Okay.
We don't want you to be ratchet. Don't be ratchet.
And when we talk about the baby daddy, that's a whole nother that's a whole nother story. So what would I say to his dad? Is
Well,
that what you
I
asked?
mean, what would you say to men who are not in their
Oh,
kid's life? Not what you would say to your dad. That might
oh,
be
oh, oh, oh. What would I say to men with what?
that who are not maybe in their kid's life
In
the
their
way they
child's
should be.
lives like they're supposed to be. Step up. You know, you're gonna miss out on your child growing up. You're gonna miss out on they're gonna be the best thing that the single mothers have raised them to be, and you're gonna miss out on it. So just step up and do what you're supposed to do, whether they are babies now or whether they're about to be 18 now.
Right.
At some point in time, you just have to step up and do what you need to do.
What do you think your life would have been like, Keisha, if perhaps I wasn't there, if I was just a deadbeat?
Mm,
Mm. And Dylan.
I can't imagine it.
Yeah. Today
I
you're
don't
a
know.
successful businesswoman.
Yeah.
Beautiful home, doing your thing and all, and understand money. What do you think about the speeches that I gave you?
Ah.
Tell people a
Oh, the
little bit about
speeches.
some of those speeches.
Yeah. Oh, there are plenty of speeches, man. Um, the anyway speech, that one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of speeches, but just even teaching them about finances, trying to teach me earlier, but I didn't grasp it until later on.
Right.
But I mean, you told me about the whole credit thing, and even with the whole credit card thing that I had, I think in the seventh grade.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
We
I had
got it.
credit
Yeah.
cards.
She had cards, and like most kids, she abused them a little bit. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted to
some
make sure
credit
you had
cards.
what you needed.
Yeah, I had what I needed.
Right.
So just learning about finances, and like I said, watching your lives out in California, like I want that too. Like a good life. So I want the houses and the cars, and I want that. So I aimed for it, I reached for it, and I know that I wasn't going to settle for anything less. And I'm still
Right.
reaching, trying to get some more,
You
reach
know what
some
comes
more
to my
goals.
mind? What comes to my mind is your friend. who was fussing me out, saying how we messed her up. You know, she was saying because she came out there, she saw the house and she saw the
Yeah.
cars and all that, and she said your lifestyle messed me up, but messed her up in
Ah.
a good way. In a good way, because
Yeah.
now she's a successful businesswoman as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And doing
She
really
is.
good. So
Yeah.
that's really important.
Tanisha Lachey.
Right. I want you to stick around for a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
But I mean, you are just made me very, very proud. I often lost sleep many nights wondering how you were going to come out because you were not with us,
Yeah.
and but you were able to pull everything together and everything, and have a beautiful relationship, with your son and with your family there, and
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that. The fact that
Thank
you are doing so well. But I want you to stick around a bit. So I'm gonna get all you guys together here in just a minute, right? And I'm gonna chat a little bit with my next son, my next
you. Child.
well, my next child. Yeah, I was gonna try to. I was trying to from eldest on whatever the elder, whatever would be after eldest, right?
No.
But my oldest son, I should say. I will chat with you in just a second. Stick around, okay?
Okay.
Thanks, Keisha. All right, guys. So you see up there, so I was chatting there with my oldest daughter, my eldest, as I call her. You can see right here sitting beside me is my youngest, and we'll get with her in just a second. I was able to catch up with her. She's been really busy all day. Unfortunately for her, she had a funeral of one of her friends, and my condolences to the Chamber family as well, who lost their son and all. And I know that that was really affected you, and stuff like that. Being young and having to go through a death like that is something horrific, and stuff like that. He's such a young man. He's just turned 19, got a car and everything. So my condolences to that family. I want to bring up right now. We're going to talk to my oldest son. Now, you guys, let me just kind of put you guys on alert right now. He's a lot like me. My son's a lot like me. Ladies and gentlemen,
That's
here
funny.
he is, the one and the only, my oldest son, Richardson,
Yeah.
David.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
What's happening? How you
Yeah,
doing, boss?
how you doing, man?
Good, good.
My son
Fantastic.
now lives in Sacramento, California. He's married with a couple of kids. If I could stop him from moving around so much, maybe one.
Honestly, as we talk about the kids, I'm literally giving one of them a water bottle right now.
Right,
Just to
right,
let everybody
right,
know.
right. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, he's a good dad, and that's kind of what this show is all about. It's about Father's Day and being a good father. Richardson, now look, early on. Let's go back to early on. Just so you would know, when you were born, I always wanted a son, right? I always wanted a son, and I only have one, and I always wanted a son. And so when Richardson was born, he was with me, obviously in California, and I took him everywhere. I think he forgets about that, right? That everywhere I went, he was with me when I was out there doing my activism and training and whatever. He was always there, and he was with me for a lot of those things. And hopefully, I was infusing in him about who I was and who I wanted him to be. So indeed, some of those things were right. One was the martial arts.
Yeah.
He got in martial arts very early on, and actually he's very good, very talented. What was your experience with being into kickboxing and stuff like that with me, Richardson?
I thought it was good. It was like for a while when I was competing, um, it was real fun doing all the point kickboxing tournaments, especially being in there from the beginning, and then competing in the ring. That was great. So those are some of the best experiences I've ever had personally because I just love fighting. But yeah, just putting it that way, like it's become a part of who I am. Some of my best friends to this day are still people who are in the sport. You know what I'm saying? So it's just
Right.
like it's become a part of who I am fully. And that's by my own choice. I know a lot of people ask me, it's like, oh, is it just because of your dad that you like the sport? And it's just like, nah, no, I like punching people too.
Right, right, right. And
Yeah.
it's amazing that kind of just being around it and everything. Culturally, I was taken to a lot of cultural things as well. Juneteenth festivals and a lot of the different programs that we were having
Mhm.
and stuff. What did that do for you? Don't go without getting too far off. That infusion. There was a newspaper article. Remember, we had the local newspaper that came out. Okay, let me tell you the story. So I used to be kind of like a scholar. That's what some people call me. I did a lot of writing essays. I was speaking at schools and all this. So in
Okay.
my little office there, I had a bunch of books about history and culture and things like that. Richardson, when he was about maybe 2, he would come in the room and he would pull all the books down off the shelf. I don't know why. He would just pull them down. And all of these books had pictures. I got some newspaper clippings, Johna, with that. And they were like all of these pictures of like Mary Cloud Bethune, Frederick Douglass, and Martin Luther King, and all of that. And so one day I just decided, you know what? This is Martin Luther King. And then he would come come in the next time, and he would say, King, King, and he would pull the book down, right? And I said, whoa, what is up with that? So then I taught him all like 20 some of those books, and he would sit down and he would name every single. I'm talking about 2 years old. I have the picture in the paper to show you, and he would name all of those people. Right. And also, I even brought the newspaper in. The guy from the newspaper was like blown away. He said, oh my God. And so the point of that was the importance of teaching the cultural aspect. So tell me a little bit about what that maybe did, not just that, but through the life that we tried to teach you in being respectful and have pride in who you are. Right. How does that play a role in your life today, Richardson?
Oh, it plays a huge role. It plays a huge role, especially I went to high school in a place called Placer County I to where if you're going to, be proud of who you are, then you just have to do it regardless of your surroundings.
Right.
So, that's something that
So what you're saying there, basically, that most people there were white, and right, and you were like
yeah,
with a few African Americans,
I'm being nice.
which will bring up another subject a little bit later. But go ahead.
Yeah, and so but basically it was like but yeah, it's come a lot into a lot of what work that I do now. I work a lot with Black youth, and it just comes from off of my experiences. So it's played an aspect in obviously everything that I do, but now it plays an aspect in a very positive returning way.
Right,
And
right.
I like to look at it that way. It played a role in my education. When I was going to school, I joined groups like Emoja and things like that, which kind of gave me like a cultural specific type of learning. I was in a cohort with students, and we all learned together and we traveled together. So that was um, that was something that played a big role for me. So I really enjoyed things like that.
Right, right. And one of the things too that, again, you're married today, and your wife is European. She is white. Great
Yeah,
lady. We love her as part of our family. She's a good lady. You have 2 kids and everything who are interracial, obviously, and
right,
everything. And some people was get confused about that. Maybe you're not as cultural because X, Y, Z, but that's not the way it works.
right,
I've heard me say this on a lot of shows that we're not defined by race. Well, we're not defined by race. We're defined by culture, right?
right,
And at the time where we lived, where you went to school, right? That was who was there. I mean, and that's the bottom line. So blame it on us if you want to blame. Ain't no blame. Is all
nah, nah.
family and our grandkids and everything like that. But here's a person that has a deep cultural understanding of who he is as an African American man in this society, and has a mixed race family, which millions of people do, and beautiful, respectful kids and all of that, and have to raise them in society. How do you see that though in what's going on in society right now with Black Lives Matter and all of that, Richardson, and raising your kids who are mixed race?
It all comes down to communication, and the communication being very specific and being very in tune. I guess it really comes down to Alex and I have conversations based off the messages we want them to receive, and we have to build messages based off of that. And of course, we keep it specific to our beliefs. We keep it specific to human kindness, and I think those morals do have to be taught, which is what we're seeing a lot of those morals not being taught lately. So it's
Right.
making sure that my kids are instilled with not anything that is specific or selective, but is universally sound.
Speaking of your wife, you noticed as me as your father and how I treated Helen, your mom.
Right.
Does that have any role in how you treat Alex today? Good or bad?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I made a breakfast just like 30 minutes ago, but
Right.
that's a common thing that we do. I mean, I heard Keisha talking a little while ago. Like I clean the kitchen too. Um, so, I mean, the only thing is that I mean, I cook better. Um,
You cook better
but
than you.
oh, than you.
Hold on now. Hold on now. That sounds like a challenge. Right here on Facebook. Here you got it right now, guys.
Okay,
Johnny
fine.
Davis
Tune in
and the
because I'll
Sun
be
is
there.
gonna
I'll
have
be
a
there.
cook-off.
I'll be there next week. So go
And
ahead.
no, you can't be in.
Or
You
the
are
week after.
yeah. And like I said, but that's a great thing that I'm glad that I was able to offer some other thing. When you were a teenager, though, you got a little bit of a little rat head going on. You kind of got out there a little bit, hanging out. I was a little
Oh
hard
yeah.
on you. I was a little hard on you. And what did you think of me during that time, and think about yourself and what you were going through?
I mean, well, during that time, I feel like, when I think back on it now, I just think of it as me being absolutely young and you being a frightened father. I mean, I don't really know how else to go about it. Like, it's just
Right.
there was a lot of uncertainty in the things that I was doing, and now that I'm more aware about the world that we live in, I mean, I would be I'd be a bit upset too.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a
So
scary time for me and your
yeah,
mom, no doubt about that.
yeah, and I was like, I mean, by no means did I make that easy. So I'm definitely aware of that. So I mean, when I think about it now, I mean, I just think of like I mean that was I mean that was a very tough time for everybody, but that was just I mean that was my youth.
Yeah. And I mean, and look, I just want to let people know, real talk. You go through my show is Johnny Davis Live, Real Talk, Real Solutions, right? And that it's not always perfect. We get along great now, but it has not always been that way, right? And then there was a time we didn't talk for a while, right? And now on the other hand, you and your mom, y'all talk every day, all the time. I don't know what was it was like I had you like when you were like small, you were all mine, right? With me. Then you got another age, it was like all mom since then, I went all mom. Which it is what it is, but it is a scary thing for parents, is what I want people to know as a father, wanting to see your son do the best that he can and get through school, and then now you're in college, still finishing up your college and everything and all, and done extremely well. And I'm very proud of what you've done and accomplished. Got a great job, great family, and I mean, it could have been a lot worse, based on the direction that you were going in as a teenager. But sometimes you gotta hang in there. Something Helen always told me: hey, he's your son. You gotta hang in there. You can't ever give up on him. Da da da. And I'm glad. Look, and I'm glad she didn't. Hey, at least she brought me back in. Because I was like, okay, if he's gonna just be crazy about it, then let him go. But you came around, and one of the things I always used to put on you was like a curse. I would say, boy, like on the color purple, what you done to me, right? I would do that because I always used to tell you about your kids. I would say, all that headache you gave me, your kid's got to get you back, buddy. He's got to get you back, right?
Right.
Have you seen some of the things from your kids that have reminded you of that statement?
No,
Not yet.
not yet. No. Some things have like so I'm trying to think right now. There's definitely been time. I mean, obviously, right? Obviously, some things like so they're like they're 6 and 2 right now, so like they're not doing too much, like
Right.
too many things like that like so maybe like some stuff like some baby stuff because like Quinn is doing some 2 stuff right now, some 2-year-old stuff right now
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like
yeah,
mad
yeah.
interesting. Like and it's just like she feels like she can go out of any door she feels like and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's funny. I'm sure that I had some things that were similar to that.
Right. And I talked about, one of the biggest things you got in trouble for was how you treated your little sister. Right. You got in trouble for that more than anything. Do you now understand? Come on in here, John. Do you now understand the importance of why I pushed you so hard to treat her a certain kind of way?
Absolutely.
Right, right. Do you make sure that your kids now are getting along and treating each other well?
I do.
Right,
I
right,
do.
right. It took you a minute to get past that, no doubt about it. Right? Now, the interesting thing about it as well, he's laughing, they're all laughing right now. I could tell everybody a really funny story. It's one of the
Oh
funniest
man.
stories, I tell you. It's funny. Look, it's funny to me. It might not be funny to him, but it's certainly funny to me.
Lakeisha face.
This is one of the funniest things ever, right? So I'm I'm gonna share this with you because this is like
Who is about?
I'm looking at Keisha and Jonah's face right now. They're like,
well, I just want to tell you guys because it's one of the things that I think that changed their relationship. And what it was that, I tried to tell, my Johna, about using bad words. Don't use bad words.
Bad.
So her and Richardson got in an argument, and Johna doesn't really use bad words. She really doesn't, for the most part. Richardson said, that's not what I see on Instagram anyway. But she really doesn't. But Rick said something to her, and Lord, she went off. And I saw the text. And at first I was mad. I was like, oh my God, Johna, you can't use words like that or whatever. Then I thought about, that was self-defense. That was self-defense. And it seemed like to me, I don't know, it's something about what not having things begin to change. It seemed like Richardson began to look at her. Oh my gosh, I think she's growing up. I don't know. Richardson, do you remember that?
I'm trying to remember what he's. I'm trying to remember what you're talking about.
Well, I know.
Johna cut you out.
Yeah, you remember.
Johnny, you talking about on Snapchat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, my point is
that actually had nothing to do with it. I will tell you that may have had something to do with it. I think what had to do with it was our conversation afterwards. Because the conversation afterwards was yeah, you're right. I was mad surprised. It was mad grown, and it wasn't like necessarily like the cussing that did it, but it was necessarily just like it was the form of apology. Like we talked about like where we were both at the time, and she told me about where she was at, and then she straight up told me like I didn't mean nothing by like what frustrated me in the first place, and then when I thought about it, I had known that I'd already known that I had jumped the gun anyways. Like I was just like, woo! There was something else that had going on, and she jumped to me at the right time, and I was just like, oh yeah, let's go. And then
but since that time,
but the conversation afterwards was like so mature and nurturing that yeah, I mean, it was just like for me, it was more of an eye opener because I was just like I can pay attention more. And then on the other side, it was like she's ready to pay attention. So that was dope. So I do know what you mean by that. That does make sense.
On the other hand, though, you and Keisha seem like you guys have hit it off from like day one.
Yeah.
You've always getting along. Well, what do you think about your brother, Keisha?
I love my brother. We don't talk. Say
that again, Keisha, because you were getting. Say that again, Keisha.
No, my alarm was going off.
Yeah, go ahead. Say that again.
Yeah, I said we don't talk, a whole lot, but when we do talk, we just start from there and keep it moving. I'm supposed to be in California next weekend, by the way.
Oh, that's what's good. Oh wait, next weekend. Hey, look, I'm coming out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. That's right.
23rd.
I forgot. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. See, guys, this is like
we've always gotten along.
Yeah, this is like a reality show for Johnny Davis family, minus Helen, who's somewhere walking around and stuff like that now. But with my kids, and this is what this is about today. It's about, fatherhood. And I just want to let everybody know that we have gone through tough times. We're going through difficulties and things like that, but you can get through them. I mean, I started out a rough start with Keisha, with the mom thing and all that, but, we turned that around. We had a time when she got pregnant. Pretty rough time, but we turned that around. Now we have a great relationship with Richardson. When he was in his teenage days, certainly we had a little bit of a rough little go at it there and everything. But now, great son's doing a great job. Now my little one right here, in Johna Davis, sitting there, that she's here now, and she is going through like whatever changes in life, and I'm so glad to be with her and to be a part of her life like that. Listen, Helen and I have gone through things too where that might not have always been possible. But you know what? We had to make decisions as well to make sure that we stayed and did the right thing for our kids. In this case, because she's the only one that's left. And that is a big thing. This is what I'm trying to tell people out there. Sometimes what you do, you work hard on your relationship, do the right thing for yourselves as well as the kids is really important. So, Johna, really quick here, give us a little rundown of what kind of dad I've been for you. And do you feel like it's important for me to be here with you and in your
Yeah,
life?
yeah, definitely. We had a little time period when like I first moved to the South where he was out of my life for like a good three, how many
Yeah,
months? Five?
it was
It was
about
like
it.
3, 5 months. It was somewhere
You
between
put
there.
all my business out here on the street. Anyway, no, that's true though. That's the truth.
It's
Real,
a little bit.
we're doing real talk right now. Go ahead.
It's a little
That's
bit.
what you
Right.
said. Real talk.
Real talk, real solutions, like you said. Just like you said.
These are so my kids. Go ahead.
But yeah, there was a little time period where he wasn't there.
Mhm.
But
I was there, but not there.
but
Right.
not there physically.
Right.
But it really did help me grow as a person, and it made me realize that a lot of things. Actually, I'm not going to go into detail about what it made me realize, but it made me realize a lot of things. But genuinely, you have been an amazing father in my life. Like without you, I probably would have been a completely different person.
Mm.
No cap. Really.
Right.
I
Right.
probably would have been really different.
Like when you say different, how do you what kind of different person?
I don't know. Well, as y'all know, he really does give life lessons every day. Like
Mhm.
he'll go on a 30 to 45 minute rant, maybe an
Oh yeah.
hour at most, rant about just everything in life. He'll just
Anything.
talk to you about life. And if I did not have
Yes.
those conversations with you, I probably would have been very different from how I am now. Like about smoking and drinking, like and don't do those things. And if you were
Not that all my kids got that message. The same. I'm just
all right,
but they're adults.
yeah, but like me
I'm
personally,
going to Vegas in like 30 minutes.
right? I just don't partake because of the conversations that you've had with me. So without you, I probably would have been very different.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, awesome, awesome. Well, thanks so much, John. I really do appreciate that, guys, and everything. So, listen, this is what this is about. Father's Day, and all you fathers out there who are trying to be the best you can under different circumstances. There are always different things that can happen as a father, right? You know, the relationship thing, that whether you have little fights with your kids or whatever, or
Where's
just
Quinn at?
being there. But you ultimately, I think you need to try to be there. Try to be there for your kids the best you can. And I thank my Helen for, always beating that in my head. To try all of my kids. She says, be there for them. And I so appreciate it and everything. So Richardson and Keisha and Donna, I love you guys. I'm glad to be your dad. I will continue to try to do better. You let Rashawn know, right, that I'm trying to teach your son. I'm not the best granddad. I always say this. I'm not the best granddad. I'm so busy and focused and trying to do things and all that, and I'm trying to do better, and I'm trying to invite him out more, and so do things with the family more, come stay with us more, so that I can kind of develop that relationship a little bit better. So you let Rashawn know. Is he right there with you right now?
I can get him. Hold on.
Yeah, get Rashawn and everything. I want him to know that
Yeah.
is certainly in this as well. Thanks, Greta. Thanks. I appreciate that. No doubt about it and everything. And there is a Richardson. There is his my granddaughter there. Who's that? That's
What's up?
Blake or Quinn. Who's that you have in your arm?
That's Quinn right here.
Let's see Quinn. Show Quinn on the screen there.
To the light.
There's Quinn. How you doing, little Quinn? The cutie pie. Right. Good job. She's kind of proud.
Hey, Quinn. Oh my goodness, you too.
All right. So we're there. We're
Hey. Oh,
Sean.
what's up,
Let me tell you
nephew?
something. All A student, star, soccer star. That guy is the one. He is so smart. Let me tell you one. That mama right there, mama don't play. Right? You hear me?
Listen.
Mom's on him. He's doing a great job. And hey, Rashawn, I'm very proud of you, son. You
You
keep
hear
doing
my son? That game.
it.
He said he's in the game.
He's into his
So
game.
you on
Yeah,
live
I know.
on the game. You can't leave.
Right. This is awesome. I'm so glad that all you guys, I know, Keisha, you're wide open going with your business, and Richardson's getting ready to go. Richardson, aren't you getting ready to go on your honeymoon vacation?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Vegas.
Ooh,
We're getting ready to
I'm
go to
coming.
Vegas. Get ready to hang out a little
I'm
bit.
coming.
And he's
Yeah.
living, he's living the life.
Oh,
Can you see
oh,
me?
yeah, I see you.
What just happened?
Hey, we still alive though.
All right, yeah, we're
Oh,
still live. No.
oh,
Hey, we
Sometimes,
still live.
no,
Hey,
we're
hey,
still
look, I was
live.
about to take
oh.
over, so this is Richardson Davis subbing in for Johnny Davis live. How you doing, bro?
You lost the
It's like
co-host.
I'm
No,
like Wayne
sometimes,
Brady on the
like I
Chappelle
said,
show.
I told you guys, hey, we could do reality TV. So what I might have to do is bring you guys on, maybe go and get some live stories and all, and I have
Might
you on
have
the
to give you some
show.
stories here.
Right. Well, I know we can bring some stories. You go to people and everything, and have some nice stories and all of that. Who knows, guys? We can do a lot with this show, right?
Let's do it.
But today it's about fatherhood. And again, I just want to thank you guys for being a part of the show today and taking time out. And it's been a pleasure, an honor to be your guys' dad. I thank you for so much for being good people, and being out in the world and striving to be your very, very best. I love each and every one of you guys. Okay.
Love you too.
All
And
right,
I
You
would
too,
just
guys.
like
pops.
to add, we are
Oh,
so much alike, by the way.
yes, yes, I know, but that's not a bad thing. It's a
No,
good
not at
thing.
all.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
What?
I love you, Dad.
All right, love you back, Keisha. All right, thanks so much, guys. All right, love you, Rick.
All right, love you too.
All right, guys, see you later. All right, bye
Bye.
bye. All right, guys, there you have it. Here, my kids, and they are hanging out with me today, and I certainly appreciate it. There's my Johna right there, my youngest, and everything. I want to thank you too, Johna, for being on today and chatting for a minute. Guys, you've been watching Johnny Davis live here about Father's Day, and we're going to have some more editions coming up on next week. I want to thank everybody for joining in today. Hey, please respect each other, wash those hands, do that social distancing, and wear those masks always for March. This is Johnny Davis Live, and I'm checking out, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.